Sabrina 2000s comic, issue 45. Sabrina goes home from school and wants to sleep, but she can't because Hilda and Zelda want to visit her new charm school. Wasn't she already in a spelling school? Why would she be invited to this too? She went back in time herself twice. She wouldn't need it. This seems like a lame excuse for the story. Sabrina tells her aunts that she already has a lot on her plate, but Hilda's completely selfish, so she just dismisses that entirely and says this is very important for an evolving witch. How are they so stupid and ignorant that they completely forgot that Sabrina was doing great as a witch in every way before she was put into the first magic school? Zelda says it's just one evening a week at least. Hilda says that Hilda and Zelda had to make time for something like this themselves. If they had to deal with this too, there's really no excuse for them doing this to Sabrina. She hasn't demonstrated to them that she's gotten better at magic because of the spelling school, and so it's worth it. I hate when she has no agency in the story and is just bossed around and her life's made miserable by her own parental figures. There's no charm in that kind of writing. It's just annoying. They warp to the school and almost get flown into by the head witch's daughter, Lilith, and the headmaster isn't as free to discipline her as other students because Lilith is the daughter of Enchantra. I never imagined Enchantra would have any children. She doesn't seem like a good mother at all. So I don't want to accept this as canon. It's like the Babylon rogues being descendants of aliens or genies. I never imagined that to be the case. Lilith has no excuse for existing as a character if she's just going to be another cliche mean girl who annoys the audience. And again, the story's just annoying because there's no good excuse for the plot. And nothing entertaining is going on because of that. Zelda flirts with a guy, and I'm getting officially annoyed at the characters reminding me of the fact that she has to get married soon to avoid losing her powers every single chance they get. Her aunts were already boy crazy, so I clearly don't need to be reminded of this to understand why she's acting this way. The more I'm reminded of this, the more I hate how she's too stupid to instantly get out of the situation with magic. She could brainwash her ex-husband into getting rid of that problem for starters. She should have figured this out already. Because he was doing something wrong to her to begin with. So how is it wrong to prevent something wrong from happening? Sabrina thinks this place is a gloomy downer. Then she sees someone and doesn't recognize her until she makes herself bold. And then she recognizes her as Landra from South America. Cool, I never thought I'd see her again. I actually missed her. It's nice to see her hug Sabrina. But other than that, she's just completely wasting the page on boredom. She goes to class and apologizes for being late. Lilith gets scolded for being a bad character, and says that Landra hasn't even passed the entrance exam to be a student yet. I like that Landra zaps up a t-shirt to Lilith to annoy her for bragging too much. And why is Shinji here? He goes to the spelling course, not this place. Why was he invited? He tells her to back off as I'm bored to death by the mundane plot with nothing but characters talking. Sabrina stopped being relatable because now she thinks this place that got forced on us is cool just because Landra's there. Lilith plans on making Landra fail the test with a piece of devil's food cake. Too bad she's in the comic. I already hated Gem. I don't need a powerful Gem when I'm already annoyed enough with the comic as it is. In the comedy page, Zelda says she has a date tonight because she joined an online dating service. Did Harold break up with her? She says he has so much in common with her, but then she sees that her date is Salem because it was a prank of his. Then the story continues as I'm desperate for it to end because Lilith is in it. She rearranges the answers on the scroll to ruin Sabrina's exam, and the headmaster gets thanked by Sabrina, and Sabrina finds out that she failed the entrance exam. But sadly, she can reapply, in another 50 years though because they have so many applicants to go through. But I know this won't be the end of this contrived storyline being shoved down my throat, because they don't have enough ideas to not do this. Shinji brings Lilith to the Spellmans, and she confesses to what she did just because, in a Deus Ex Machina. It's not even explained that he cast a truth spell on her. You know, that would have been awesome. We didn't even see her tell him, which at least saves on comic space. It's a relief that he came to the rescue. He's more useful than Harvey, who just cheats on her. I wish I saw Enchantra be appalled instead of just being told that. I guess she's able to put the answers back where they were with magic, but it sure is lucky that she doesn't just put wrong answers there anyways, and let them think Sabrina put them there. Sabrina passes the entrance exam with a perfect score, so why is she being accepted? Doesn't this mean she already knows too much about magic? Wouldn't the whole point of the magic school be to tutor people who need magic help? Isn't that like having to pass a math test with flying colors to get a math tutor? Landra congratulates Sabrina. Sabrina casts a levitation spell in class, as I'm insanely bored by it because I'd rather see her use magic in a way that benefits her outside of magic school, benefiting her in everyday mortal life. Then she's being an escapist character, not wasting my time. Shinji compliments her, she thanks him, and he flatters her. Lilith has bad dialogue, and Sabrina makes her fly without a vacuum and freaks her out. I just wish she was flown out of the comic. The final panel makes me wish she really was suspended. Sabrina arrives at the door, and someone with balloons congratulates her and says she's with the cat food company. She's told she's lucky with a cat like Salem, and shows her the lovely essay that Sabrina's falsely assumed to have written that won their contest. The essay lies that he saved her life. It's sweet to see the woman call Salem a cutie. She says he'll be perfect for a commercial where Sabrina would accept a grand prize for essay. Sabrina's about to say she didn't write the essay. What did Salem have to gain in doing this? He could tell her to zap up the prize. He screams to interrupt Sabrina, and I wonder how the woman was so gullible that she actually thought he shielded puppies from a meteor shower. Sabrina humors her and gets given an address for tomorrow. Zelda congratulates Salem at least. When her aunts find out Salem lied, Hilda says that while she doesn't think it's right, it's between Sabrina and Salem. So now they're minding their own business. Good to know they're not always intrusive. It's still confusing though. Sabrina can't call them and say that Salem doesn't deserve the Greatest Cat Award because they'll think she's being a jerk and they won't believe Salem wrote the essay. She decides to accept the award, and Salem can't wait to win a lifetime supply of elite cat food, which he wouldn't deserve because he lied to get it. How did he even write with cat paws anyways? Is that plausible? I feel like there's gotta be a reason Salem didn't have stories like this in the sitcom. A woman says there was a cat who saved her kittens from a tornado, so naturally Sabrina wants to admit that she didn't write that essay. Of course she doesn't get believed when she says that Salem wrote it. She should have said someone else wrote it. She just assumes Sabrina has a good sense of humor and gives Salem the prize. You know, Sabrina could just brainwash this woman into changing her mind and humoring her instead of forgetting she's a witch. It turns out the grand prize is a lifetime of vaccinations and vet visits. Even a character in the story had a better grasp on reality than the writer did. That's completely impossible to believe. Salem sneezes later on, and ends up trapped in the kitty carrier, and they plan to take him to the vet. At least he's getting punished, and not a cat that actually is good. But again, it just seems like a writer cop-out that somehow the grand prize was terrible. It'd make more sense if he hated the taste of the cat food he got. In the next story, Sabrina's aunts arrive home giggling, and Sabrina asks if something happened at Charm School parent-teacher meeting as she has a hairstyle like a little girl for no reason. It's not even kept consistent so I can maybe get used to it. I'm not sure pigtails look good on blondes. Zelda's happy because the headmaster asked her to go with him to the Charm School reunion. Isn't she still dating Harold? What about the vet? What if they all find out about each other? Hilda's happy that the flying master asked her out too. Sabrina says it's not gonna happen and magically shows them the calendar, and Zelda says she forgot that there's an award ceremony for Greendale teachers on Friday and Sabrina's history teacher is taking her. And Hilda's supposed to go with his brother Max. Neither of them can remember not to cheat. Sabrina at least did learn her lesson from earlier and tells them to break one of their dates because she's been there. Zelda at least explains that she needs all of her options. And Hilda says that she wishes two people looking like them could go on dates. Sabrina for some reason opens her big mouth, which for all I know is why Hilda and Zelda decided to try this plan. Zelda's double snarks that they weren't volunteering. Why are they trusting the doubles if they aren't happy about following their orders, like Sabrina's double? They should be more experienced than her. The doubles are going to stay local, and Hilda's double hopes Max won't try anything at the award ceremony. Zelda reluctantly thanks someone for complimenting her appearance and says she's better looking than Hilda. It turns out Sabrina was actually disguised as Zelda to go on a date with Harold. Why in the world did this happen? It would be so easy to keep it simple and create doubles of themselves. Hilda's called a bad dancer and says she has cat-like movements since she's actually Salem. The two guys look way too similar to each other. I'm having a hard time telling them apart. Sabrina and Salem get fed up with the insults and decide to turn them into animals and bring them home to startle the ants. That was an abrupt end to the story. The first story by Bill Gallagher sucks. It has no excuse for happening and it's really boring. Sabrina is being forced to go to a spell school again, and she clearly doesn't need magic tutoring. And Enchantra's daughter, when I wouldn't expect Enchantra to have a daughter, is a stereotypical evil mean girl who tries to make sure Sabrina and Landra don't get into the school, but I didn't want them to get into the school, so I was actually disappointed that Shinji forced her to confess. And it's a lot more entertaining to see Sabrina use magic to benefit herself in a mundane life, because that's easy to put yourself in her shoes with. You have no reason to care about how well she does at a magic school, because she's awesome at magic either way. And the second story is about Salem lying that Sabrina wrote a greatest cat essay, and Sabrina gets interviewed, and eventually she ends up winning, because she didn't just brainwash the person into deciding not to let her win after all. But it's okay, because the prize is actually something that a cat would hate. Why would they have the grand prize for a greatest cat contest be something that everyone would know that cats would hate? It should have just been terrible tasting cat food. And the third story is a cliche plot where this time Sabrina's aunts are the ones that have two dates at once. But for some reason they turned Sabrina and Salem into their doubles, instead of creating doubles for themselves that would be completely loyal to them. So Sabrina does something that they wouldn't approve of because their boyfriends made fun of them for some reason, when I didn't expect them to be such jerks. Sabrina 2000s comic issue 46. Sabrina walks out of a plane and says she can't believe she and her family are in Hawaii. She thanks someone for a flower necklace, and Hilda decides on checking out the volcanoes after they get settled in their room. Hilda says while reading a book that legend has it that Pele the volcano goddess makes her home here. I'm bored so far. Why am I expected to care about this? We already saw them go to Hawaii in the 70s comic. Considering their tendencies to demonize magic as a whole, it makes me wonder if they paid for the vacation. Somehow Sabrina thinks the rocky terrain is beautiful. She recklessly decides to look around on her own. She at least tells her aunts she'll meet them at the car in an hour. She hears Pele crying behind a rock. Her presence in the story was spoiled by the cover. The giant Pele gets told Sabrina's a witch and says she's got boy trouble. Whenever she gets a lava flow going, the rain god rains on it and puts it out. So, maybe he's protecting people. Sometimes Pele wonders if he's just teasing her because he can't admit he's in love with her. She really is old-fashioned. Or just dumb. She should know better than that. And Sabrina gives a bad message to the audience by acting like that's even plausible. Pele says this whole thing is making her mad enough to want to cover the whole island in lava. It gets hot, and so I wonder why Google Maps hasn't taken a picture of this woman yet. I guess she's invisible to non-witches. Sabrina, rather than pointing to magically brainwash her into not being angry anymore, or at least freeze her in time, decides to call her aunts on the magic spell cell phone. Well, it does make some sense that a god would need the combined magic of multiple witches for a spell on her to work. Because otherwise, why call it a god? They make her calm down, and she's mad at them for ruining her eruption. She can't hear them, so she shrinks to mortal size to talk to them. Conveniently, she immediately apologizes for losing her temper, and Sabrina forgives her, and offers to take a walk with her. Hilda naturally worries that she'll get mad again, and Sabrina reassures her that they'll be near water. She tries to make Pele feel better by saying that the rain god might be jealous of her powers or intimidated by her. She says that when his rain cools, her lava flows, and it creates beautiful landforms. She thinks Pele's crushing on him, and says they should use their powers together. She wants to know if he likes her. He's been raining on her lava. Why would she consider that? Why would she want that? I guess she thinks he's attractive and is blinded by that. She mentions a fish with an overly long and repetitive name. Sabrina and her appreciate its appearance, and the fish turns into a rain god and says he's here to torment her as usual. Sabrina casts a truth spell on him, so he admits that he wants to be her boyfriend. This is what I was worried about. This really does tell the audience the bad message that if someone's abusing you, it might be because he wants to date you. It should have shown an example of someone teasing someone of the opposite gender without wanting to date them as well as this. He agrees to stop taunting her if she decides not to destroy the island. At least he'll be a good influence on her. So this is a happy ending. The story ends with Salem wishing Sabrina would make more friends that could turn into fish, even though he shouldn't care because he wants to be allowed to eat the fish. In the comedy page, it turns out Sabrina's aunts gave Esmeralda a timeout in outer space, presumably with an air bubble to keep her alive. In the next story, Salem gets surprised by the price of Sabrina's lipstick that she saw advertised on TV. It glows in the dark, so she's hoping it'll be practical by helping Harvey's aim. Wouldn't she just be mocked for wearing glow-in-the-dark makeup? If not, then that is smart. Hilda shows up home from her evening walk. Why does she need to do an evening walk? She even demonstrated to Sabrina that if she gains weight, she could just zap it away. She brought home a puppy that followed her home and doesn't have a tag or identification. I wonder if he'll turn out to be the villain of the story to excuse him not being in the stories after this. Because it's an episodic series. She says she couldn't leave him out in the rain and makes it rain. Now scientists probably question why it's raining. Not that we see that. Hilda creates a dog bed where Salem's gonna sleep, and Sabrina's family continues to ignore the fact that Salem won't like the new puppy. They should at least tell him to pet the puppy. It shapeshifts. Salem warns Hilda, but she didn't show up in time, and it shapeshifts back into a griffin. It turns into a puppy to lure his way into unsuspecting homes. Why the hell was he on Earth? His senses told him that the witches have accumulated quite a stash of gold and gems in the 500 years they've been alive. And it's in a safe upstairs. Salem realizes that his senses are so keen he can't sneak up the stairs and warn them without him knowing. He decides to climb up the drain pipe outside the kitchen, which leads up beside Hilda's bedroom. If his senses are that keen, he'd hear that too. He gets Sabrina's glowing lipstick because it could come in handy, and Hilda warps to the griffin just in time. Then she stupidly makes the mistake of not instantly using magic against it, and instead talks to him, wasting a couple of panels on fake tension. She turns him into a gold metal necklace to reward Salem with for giving her a silent warning with a glowing lipstick. I like how it actually became useful for something unexpected. He spelled out a message on the window. In the next story, Sabrina asks some woman what she thinks of this bikini, and she says, before complimenting it. It'd be intriguing if it was because she thought she was pretty, but I doubt they'd have that kind of guts. She says she likes her bikini too, but is too shy to come out because she's never worn one in public before. She's really relatable here. She wonders whether she should get pizza or burgers at the food court, and Sabrina recklessly casts a confidence spell on her, which she somehow doesn't immediately realize would horribly backfire. This is the most obvious mistake she could possibly make with magic. Why did she have to be kneeling to cast a spell anyways? Some guys at the volleyball game challenge her, and she's confident, rubbing it in that she's doing well. So Sabrina immediately regrets her decision and says she's not even getting a chance. She says she forgot that she was actually good at volleyball. She gets asked to join the women's volleyball league and agrees. It cuts to later that week, where Julie's not wearing the bikini anymore because her mom tried it on and got affected by the confidence spell and took off with Julie's dad to his second honeymoon. Why didn't Sabrina remove the spell on the bikini? That was common sense. The first story was about Sabrina meeting a Hawaiian goddess while on vacation who hopes the rain god likes her back even though he keeps mistreating her and enjoying it. Rather than her being taught a lesson for the audience about her bad taste in men, Sabrina uses the truth spell to reveal that he has a crush on her, which teaches the audience the bad message that if someone's mistreating you, they might have a crush on you instead of just being a bully, which could have obvious bad consequences. Other than the goddess threatening to destroy the island with lava, which had no chance of happening anyways, it didn't really matter that she was a goddess. The rain god taking the form of a fish was also pointless. This plot was so mundane and cliche that it could have been told with mortals instead. But that'd be more boring. At least it was a story where Sabrina got to use her magic just fine. The second story is about an evil griffin that shapeshifted into a puppy to infiltrate Sabrina's home, attacking the place. So it's yet another we ran out of ideas story where supernatural creatures are on Earth for no reason for a plot. I liked that Salem used Sabrina's glowing lipstick as a Chekhov's gun to write a message on the window warning her. But if the griffin had magically heightened senses, he would have heard Salem climbing up to her window anyways. And the third story repeated the overdone plot where Sabrina casts a confidence spell on someone. I liked the shy girl she was friends with for the sake of the story though. She was relatable until the spell. And I loved that there was a happy ending for her mom because she somehow didn't get rid of the bikini. There were a lot worse issues out there.